All right. There always seems to have to be a few people to, be very blunt and just say things how they are. And I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing that I'm usually one of the people to do that. But The Strangers Chapter 2, the continuation, obviously, of Chapter 1 that we got last year. And we have Chapter 3 coming. I don't know when it's coming after the box office bomb that this film has been so far. First of all, full disclosure, I've never really loved the original The Strangers. It was directed by Brian Bertino. I really like a lot of Bertino's films and think he's a great director. It's a very effective movie, just for the premise alone. And Liv Tyler too. And Dennis from It's Always Sunny. The Tamara line was creepy. Is Tamara home? And just the whole lack of motive the strangers seem to have with their killings. In the first movie and in Pray at Night, it's just because you were home or because you were here. I actually prefer Pray at Night, the sequel, to the original Strangers. I know that's an unpopular opinion. Something about it just works a lot better for me. The sound design is excellent in that movie. There are a lot of great sequences. And Damien Maffei, who plays the Man in the Mask in Pray at Night, I think is the best Man in the Mask portrayal that we've had in this whole property so far. And that's a whole nother thing. This whole premise and idea and story of The Strangers, I feel like it never should have became a franchise. This is the perfect example of a movie that should never be turned into a franchise with, multiple entries. The first one's very good. I really like the sequel. That should have been it. There's not much more you can do with the whole premise. And I said this last year when I did a deep dive on Pray at Night, a little while after doing one on the original film. And I didn't want to do a whole video on Chapter 1 because it was so bad. So I just tacked my thoughts on Chapter 1 into that deep dive. And I said back then, this feels just like a cash grab. The definition of a cash grab, and a brilliant one at that, spanning 3 different movies. Let's just take a bare bones story, chop it up into 3 different parts, and release them over a few years, basically banking on the success of the name of the IP. And for me and most people, Chapter 1 failed miserably at being anything other than a cheap retread of the original movie and story. Nothing new, nothing creative, nothing that warrants its existence in any way, shape, or form. And everything about all of these new movies, the reboot trilogy we got going here, have any style to them, have no real good directing. They don't even look that great cinematography wise. Everything looks drab. Everything looks bad, man. I mean, everything just feels so uninspired in Chapter 1 and in this movie, continuing all those same negatives. Madeleine Pesch, is that how you say her name? She's a good actress, but for her to carry all 3 chapters here, basically on her own, I think that wasn't a great decision either. I don't think she's that great of an actress to carry 3 movies. And the biggest problem with this whole idea of the reboot and this trilogy is they're called The Strangers. And I said this last year in that video. They're called The Strangers. The whole premise and reason the first movie and even Pray at Night was so effective, we don't know anything about them. They are literally the strangers. They wear masks, they break into homes and kill people because they were home. That's all we ever find out. And it's so ambiguous and it's really effective. The more we see these characters in more and more films, and I'll get to this in a second, when they start diving into this bitch's whole backstory and who she is, they cease to be strangers anymore. We know more about the strangers than anyone else to appear in this whole entire property. Also in this one, and I guess Chapter 1, I never noticed it, He's not called the Man in the Mask, the male killer. He's called Scarecrow. I don't know what made them switch the names, but I think Scarecrow is fucking stupid. But we know so much about these characters to the point that now in this film, Chapter 2, we start seeing flashbacks to Pinup Girl and her childhood. We find out the origin of the name Tamara and where it came from. None of it's pulled off well. None of it is good in any way, and none of it should be part of a film franchise titled The Strangers. There's no good kills in this movie. None. But it takes place right after Chapter 1, when Maya and her fiance? Yeah, because he asks her to marry him before they kill him at the end. So she goes to the town of Venus with her fiance, soon-to-be husband, soon-to-be dead husband, and they stay in an Airbnb that the strangers then descend upon and attack. So Chapter 1 ended with Maya surviving and ending up in the hospital, which is where it takes place at the beginning of this movie. And if you know me, I hate movies set in hospitals. It's such a pet peeve of mine. 95% of movies set in hospitals, I can't stand them. There are a few I've mentioned in the past that I can deal with it. And then the strangers find her in the hospital, and of course, small town, so no one works at the fucking hospital. There's no one around except for one or two people. No nursing staff, paper pushers, custodial staff, nothing. There's no one at this hospital. As usual, this whole film ends up being an hour and 20-minute chase sequence that easily could have been condensed to 15, 20, 25 tops. All the content in the story of this chapter, take all 3 chapters and combine them into one movie, and it still wouldn't be good. That's another real disheartening thing about these 2 films. It's Renny Harlin directing. It's not like some unknown director or a director who, well, he did have some flops, Harlin, but great director, who started with A Nightmare on Elm Street 4, The Dream Master, Die Hard 2. So many great movies. He did the alternate take of The Exorcist: The Beginning, which I don't really like his version compared to the Schrader one. But regardless, he's a great director, and it does not make sense with the quality of this movie and Chapter 1. Why? Like, that's what it has you thinking. And I think they got some dirt on him. I think they blackmailed his ass into making this trilogy. The studio probably acquired the rights and said, we gotta milk this as much as possible. Let's do 3 chapters, stretch it along. Let's get a very well-known and well-respected director. Renny, you want to direct these? No, I'm not really interested. You know what we know about you, right? All right, fine, I'll do it. That's how these movies feel. And I highly doubt they're gonna knock it out of the fucking park with the 3rd chapter in this trilogy. It's just not gonna happen. And that's if it even makes it to theaters. They might put Chapter 3 right to streaming. But oh god, all in all, just worse than Chapter 1 for me. Much worse. Are you a fan of The Strangers? The Strangers Pray at Night? Did you, for some reason, happen to like the 1st chapter? What did you think of this one? Let us know below.